Redeeming the game. Redeeming the game. Redeeming the game. Redeeming the game. Redeeming the game.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Demon the Game podcast. I'm your host, Coach Matt Sanders, and this week we are on the heels of a wonderful conversation I had with one of my mentors, Coach Jeanette Regier. Shout out, Coach Regier. Thank you so much for what you said in last week's podcast. This week is episode 2 in our discussion as coaches on identity. And this week, we're going to dive deep. We're going to go into, as my boy Coach Phil Morrison says, deep waters, spiritually, physically, emotionally, but most importantly, from the coaching standpoint. Because once we all begin to understand that we are a being loved or a beloved, righteous, and redeemed child of the King Jesus, the next question for you and me is this: what are you and I still trying to prove? And it's really, really crazy that this is the next step in this deep dive in these episodes, because I literally just had this conversation with a friend of mine 2 days ago about a guy who is now finished playing his college career, but every time he plays a pickup game, he is literally trying to prove himself all the time. It's a never-ending process. And you begin to ask yourself the question, what is he trying to prove as a player? He's done. Like, he's not going to go on and play professionally. What is he trying to prove? What are we as coaches, as we're coaching our teams, what are we trying to prove? What are we after? And I can tell you, and I think this is a great way to start the podcast today, that I spent the entirety of at least the first half of my career trying to prove to myself, but most importantly, those who are close to me, that I could and I was going to be a championship and a great coach. As I've said before, I wanted my name in the Coaches Hall of Fame, whatever Hall of Fame that is, whether it be the National Hall of Fame, whatever it is, I wanted that to happen. But the truth is that it was never meant to be a part of my identity. And that's what we're talking about. So we coaches, we really won't say it out loud, but we really care, and I know you do too. You care what people think as a coach. I care deeply for a long time about what people think, parents, administrators, other coaches, what people say about me on social media. Out of that, I want to be and feel and people to say things that make me sound respected, that makes me feel some level of validation. I want to be seen as a great coach. I want to be talked about as a great coach. And I want to stop and say this. This just happened to me last night. I was on a Zoom call with another coach and a kid who wants to play in college, and he was spouting out all the things that he loved about who I am. And he said these words: Matt Sanders is a great and was a great basketball coach. He is still a great coach to coaches. And prior to becoming aware of my beloved identity, that would have filled me up. And then by the end of the night, I would have been empty again. But what now happens to me is that God has so validated my heart that when that is said about me, what it does to my inner man is make him smile. And I just said, thank you. I don't boast on it. I don't I did this and that, and I don't tout myself. And the only way that the shift happens is that God, in his infinite love for us, comes inside you as a coach and validates the innermost part of your heart so that you don't have to be filled up by what other people say about you. So here's the tension. The tension is your leadership is built on your reputation. It will always be fragile because your reputation will rise and it will fall. And people are going to think what they think about you. They're going to say what they say about you. And think about that tension point, that your reputation based on how kids ages 14 to 22 play a game, that tension in and of itself, and your reputation is based on that. I want you to imagine how wild that is. I wish I had known this when I was a young coach. So if you're a young coach and you're listening to this, if you're a young leader and you're listening to this, and your reputation is based on how other people perform under your leadership, and you are driven by that, and you want validation from that, and you are trying to prove yourself through that, it is fleeting and empty in the end. Believe me, I'm telling you the facts. It is fleeting and empty in the end. So let's take this a step further and let's go in deeper waters. Let's see what the scripture says. Romans 5:1 says, therefore, since we have been justified through faith, we have been given peace with God. Think about that. Because you have the faith to believe that God sent his son to die for everything about you that is not filled up. He died for that, and then he comes in and fills it up with his love. That faith brings peace to your life. Romans 5:1. Galatians 1:10. And now I am trying to win the approval. Am I now trying to win the approval of human beings or God? If we live in this world where you're trying to win by validating yourself through wins and losses, kids who make it to college, who make it to pro, if you're trying to validate yourself through that, not only is it empty, you are appealing to them and not God. That is an empty place to live on the other side of after it happens. In the moment, it feels good. In the moment, it fills you up. But at the end of it, when it's over with, what do you have? And I'm telling you, I've said this over and over again. I wanted to win a state championship, whether I was a player or a coach, so bad. And I wanted to prove to the whole world and myself that I could do it as a coach. No joke. An hour after we get on the van driving home from the championship and we win the championship and everybody's elated, I remember crying in the van because I was empty. There was nothing there. The joy and the celebration had left, and we go home and they put a banner up and it was empty. Like I thought it was going to fill me up and it just didn't. And I just want you to hear from me as a young coach. If you're a young coach, hear what I'm saying to you. This will never fill you up. The rings, the banners, the championships. It won't even make you a better husband or a better wife or a better mother or a better, it won't. It won't do it. It leaves you empty because it was never designed to be that way. And remember, Dr. Naismith designed this game to win men for the Master Jesus through the gym. So it has to be a ministry and it needs to minister to your heart. So what does righteousness mean? Righteousness means this. You are already made right with God. What does that actually mean? You don't have to earn it. You don't have to prove it. In fact, you didn't do anything to get it. God, in his infinite love for us, sent his son to die for us so that we might be made the righteousness of God through what Christ did. And actually, that word righteousness in the Greek, that's very root definition, means the state of me or you as we ought to be. Not as we should be, but as we ought to be, which means we are in a relationship with God that is not only is it right, but it's good. I heard somebody say this the other day, so I'm going to say this to you if you're watching this. God likes you. That changed that person's life. God actually likes you. He doesn't hate those things that you're not good at. He loves you just as you are, not as you ought to be or as you should be. You don't have to earn any of that. You don't have to prove any of that. You don't have to validate yourself through any of that. So why are we still coaching like we do? Why did you still coach the way that I did, and you might still be doing that? I remember seasons when I was so aware of who was watching. I was really aware of the parents and my administrators of who was watching. I was overly aware of it. I wanted the attaboys, right? I was really aware of that more than who I was becoming. As those times come, and you can probably appreciate this if you're a coach, it makes you tighter. You coach really tight. You're kind of a ticking time bomb. I coached more controlled. I was trying to control the situation more. I coached more concerned with the perception than the formation. And remember, we are formation specialists as coaches. We are built to form the hearts of the players and the minds of the players, and not just the perception of who they say that we are. And the reality was, I wasn't leading free. And I will tell you that in 2021, when God came into my life in such a way that I saw the game for what it was, shout out Origins basketball, and what it was meant to be, a ministry, that now, as I see it even on the outside, not on the sideline anymore, what changed was freedom. I saw the kids for who they were going to be, not who I needed them to be. Think about that. I saw them for what they were going to be, not for what I needed them to be in the moment. So it made me hold on for the marathon of the season and watch them grow and become great young men and young women. I definitely led carefully. I was really nervous during those times before I became beloved, righteous, and redeemed. Because what was driving me? Y'all know this. If you've been listening, what was driving me was reputation, rings, championships, validation, you're a good coach, and Hall of Fame. I wanted that more than anything else. What did it lead me to? Empty. Until God comes in and was like, no, basketball is ministry. Basketball was designed from the outset with Dr. Naismith, from the heart of God, to win men for the Master Jesus through the gym. I want you guys to hear that this game was never meant to just be a scoreboard and to get accolades and to have records. It was never meant to do that. It was meant to be an enjoyment for the coach and the player. It was meant to be a character builder for the coach and for the player. Man, I wish I'd known that, and I hope you hear that. Let's start to land the plane. What if I didn't need anyone's approval in that season? What if you come to a place where you don't need their approval? What if you were already so secure in who you were? You would coach this way, and this happened to me. You'll be way more bold, one, about your faith, and two, about the heart of the kids. Two, you will be honest. And I hope you heard that from Quez and Zeb 2 podcasts ago. I became more peaceful and I was very honest with them. And they were very honest with me. And lastly, you coach and you connect without fear. Fear-based coaching does not work. It may feel like it works in the moment, but what the kid remembers about you is the moments that you created motivation out of fear. And I don't believe in it at all now. And so when you don't coach from a place of fear, you're not motivating from a place of fear because your identity's not on the line anymore. You know that you are righteous and redeemed. It frees you from performance. You're not staring at the scoreboard of life, wins and losses. You're not staring at the scoreboard of the game. You're not staring at the scoreboard of your record. You know who you are. I can't say that enough. And I think it's really important to drive this home. That if basketball is ministry, there is no separation between what we call with secular and sacred. Actually, basketball is only sacred. It was meant to be ministry. It needs to minister to you as a coach, and it needs to minister to the kids' hearts through you and through the game. You're not performing for people anymore. You're not. If you see the game the way Dr. Naismith created it, you don't perform anymore. You're not putting on a performance. You're not on some kind of stage out there so everybody can watch you. You're out there after the heart of the kid. So, as we close the door, when you're no longer chasing your reputation, you become available for that mission. Think about that. Because now it's not about you being seen. It's about being honest and you being sent into these kids' lives. You've been sent by God through the calling of basketball, and your purpose is to burn bright for Jesus. You've been sent, and that is a powerful statement. You have been sent into these kids' lives. And I can't express this enough. You being a lover of the game, and God, who created the game, loves you, who also loves the game. You're now sent. And I want you to think about how freeing that is. Let that sink in. Basketball is a mission. It is an incredible mission. It's not a heavy mission. If you don't win, you don't win, but you are ministering to the hearts of those kids. Come on, coach. We can do this. We can redeem this game for what God created it for. I can't say this enough. Thank you so much for locking in with me on these episodes. Stay with me. Keep liking and subscribing and sharing, please. I really mean that, to share it. Again, I'm not getting a dime out of this. I'm using my own time and money to produce this podcast because I feel like this is what God wants. And we need more coaches to hear this. Share it, please. Share the podcast with other coaches. And as you're doing that, email me, matt@redeemingthegame.com. If you have questions, please hit me up. I would love to speak with you. And while you're there, I need you to download the free PDF that's there. It's a great way to get started into this transformation. The 10 things I wish I knew as a young head coach. Download it. Go get it. It will really bless you. I promise. There is so much packed in that little tiny PDF that will help you. Your reputation will always fluctuate, right? But your righteous and your righteousness, your belovedness, and your identity are fixed in who He says you is. Who He says you are, sorry. And when you lead from that place, guess what? You coach free. I hope this blesses you. And as we say every single week, let's continue to redeem this game, one player, one coach, and one family at a time. See you next time.
Redeeming the game. Redeeming the game. Redeeming the game. Redeeming the game. Redeeming the game.